The doctor is in on KPEL. Get well, Acadiana, with Dr. Kevin.
Welcome back to another edition of Get Well, Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin. I'm glad you decided to spend your Saturday morning with us here on KPEL. This is the show that's designed to do more than just to be something interesting to listen to every morning. I bring this show to you every week to try to change your health, to try to save your future, and to try to give you a life where you can do the things you enjoy for as long as absolutely possible. We all know people that have lost their ability to enjoy their lives due to health problems. And this is such a tragedy to me, especially when natural solutions exist to save and restore your health, but just for whatever reason, they're not being done. So my purpose is to try to help as many people as I possibly can live a healthier, better life using totally natural, drug-free solutions. But so many people go on suffering with health problems needlessly day after day. Maybe they feel like they've tried everything and nothing works, or maybe they feel like that it's just normal to have health problems at a certain age or at their age. And you know, the truth is it's not. The only thing that age matters is that more time has gone by so that more damage can be done to the cellular structures. We're not designed to be broken down and diseased and have multiple symptoms going on, taking multiple different medications for those multiple different symptoms. There's so many amazing solutions out there that are being developed and discovered in my field of functional medicine and natural health care that can help people live a better life. And that's what this show is about. This show is about getting your health back on track. So I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. I'm here with my co-host, Brandon Como. Brandon, how are you today, sir?
Doing well.
I tell you, this is my favorite time of the year, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's, of course, it's deer season. As you know, I'm a deer hunting fanatic, and so as you see, I got my beard going.
Yeah, you had the mountain man thing going on right now, Doc.
Yes, I do. So the thing is, once I shoot a big deer, I can shave, but until I do, I can't. So
well, you look like you're in touch with the mountains right now.
Yes, I am. Touch with the mountains right now. So, and there is a giant that we're hunting in our woods. So, kind of excited about that. So, I wanted to talk to you guys about something today that may very well surprise you. And I know it really has surprised me. And it seems a little far out, but I promise you it's not. And today is going to be about something called earthing or grounding. And if I could explain earthing in just one sentence, like if I could describe what this is, and we're going to talk about this all day today, but if I could explain earthing, it would be that our bodies, whenever it goes through its daily cellular processes, builds up a slightly positive charge. And these slight charges we now know, create inflammation. And inflammation is the precursor to almost every chronic disease. So if we can remember back to chemistry class, our body is made of molecules. Molecules are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. The electrons buzz around the outside of the molecules, kind of like bees buzzing around a hive. And when a molecule gains or loses an electron, that gives it a positive or negative charge. You guys remember that? Now, I'm going to spare you all the complex chemistry that's involved in our bodily processes that causes this. But the bottom line is all of that complex chemistry that our bodies go through makes us electron deficient. So our bodies have a slight positive charge, and we now are finding out this is a major cause of inflammation. So think of it like whenever, you touch someone and it shocks you, or you shock someone else, your body has built up an electrical charge to that. And we now know that this happens all the time, keeping a slightly charged body. And researchers are now discovering that this creates inflammation. It creates disease processes at a cellular level through a process of being electron deficient. So if you think about anybody that's ever worked with electronics, you have a ground wire, right? So you have like whenever you plug something into your house, you have the positive and negative, and then there's a ground. Well, that ground wire goes in and discharges any positive charges that are in that electrical device. It neutralizes it. So if you rub your feet on the carpet to shock someone, but if you touch the ground first, you won't shock them. It'll dissipate that charge. And that's because the earth is negatively charged. It has virtually an infinite supply of free electrons. And anytime two conductive objects make contact with each other, like your bare feet in the ground, the electrons will flow from the place where they are abundant, such as the earth, to where they are needed, which would be our body. So the electrical potential of the two objects equalizes, and that's what grounding is. Now, as you're going to learn today, the problem is that we don't come in direct contact with the ground like we used to. You know, our ancestors used to sleep on the ground. They would walk barefooted. They would be out in the sun. They would be around this electron-rich environment, and that would always keep them directly contacted to the earth and discharging and neutralizing these electrical forces. And now we're isolated from it. We wear rubber-soled shoes. We live inside the building. We sleep 4 feet off the ground. We have a computer 2 feet from our face every day. We have all these harmful electromagnetic fields all around us all the time, from cell phones and Wi-Fi's and microwaves and televisions. All of these devices create electromagnetic fields. So I've been looking at a book called Earthing by Stephen Sinatra, Clinton Ober, and Martin Zucker. And what they've done some research on this. And it turns out, guys, that this is a real thing.
So basically what you're saying is the earth basically has like healing powers within it, in a sense, and saying that, or at least inflammation preventing things within it, as opposed to what goes on where we have a lot of negative energy that comes from our phones, the computers, all the electronic devices, just everything that we're inside, buildings and such, that there's a certain negative energy that can come from that, as opposed to what you get from, just the earth in general.
Correct.
Okay.
And so and when you start to talk to people about this and you start to talk about, the earth has this energy, people, this is not like some weird metaphysical hippie-like thing, like it sounds like. And this can sound like it's a little bit out there, but this has been measured and studied by top researchers. So basically what it means is this. Our bodies, because we go through our normal cellular processes, it creates positively charged free radicals. People have maybe heard that term, where you have free radicals in your body and you take vitamins because they're antioxidants. But the biggest antioxidant that you can have is just touching the earth, and you'll neutralize those charges, those free radicals.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you think about the fact that the earth has within it, so many different herbs and natural remedies that can fix issues that we have as humans. So it makes sense to believe that correlates with what you're talking about here.
I know it really does. And the more I've read about this and looked at, and listen, I'll tell everybody out there, I just have been looking at this like the last month. Mm-hmm. This is not something that I've known about for years. This is kind of new to me. And the more research I look at and the more studies that I read about this is a real thing. Being grounded naturally discharges forces out of our body. It's like an electrical charge that prevents chronic inflammation in the body. And it may just have massive health implications because of the strong link between inflammation and chronic disease.
I think about the term beach therapy. People make that term in joking all the time. But if you're a beach person, you go out to the beach, you've never felt better than when you've got the water, kind of crashing in and you've got the sand between your toes. But for some people, it's the mountains, getting up into the fresh mountain air, and the effects that it has upon your body. It makes you feel renewed and refreshed.
Exactly. And maybe even if anybody has ever just maybe walked outside barefooted on the ground and it just kind of felt good.
Yeah.
And this is why, throughout all of human history, we have maintained direct physical contact with the ground. The skin of our bodies touching the skin of the earth. We walked barefooted. We slept directly on the ground. We were at all times naturally discharged, just like an electrical device that's grounded. You have a ground wire in your house that there's a spike stuck in the ground somewhere, and there's a wire going up into your electricity of your house. all houses are grounded, at least all new houses are. But today we wear rubber-soled shoes. You know, we sleep off the ground. We have computers by our face, all of these things. And we're now discovering that our bodies have become chronically charged. And they're now looking at the way this affects the cells. And what happens, it creates inflammation. And this is a real unnatural development. And it may just be one of the most overlooked reasons why immune dysfunction and inflammation-related health disorders are such a big deal now. Research is showing that when the body is grounded to the earth, it can help rapidly reduce inflammation, and it can even reduce things like chronic pain and get better blood flow and supply the cells with oxygen and nutrition. It can increase energy, improve sleep. A lot of the studies that I showed talked about improving sleep. I mean, that was one of the main things that I looked at when I was reading this. I read story after story about this helping people improve their sleep and accelerate their healing from injuries. And, you know, honestly, Brandon, I scoffed at this the first time that I started looking at this. I was like, this just can't be that big a deal.
Well, I mean, the term earthing or grounding, you would think they've got to come up with a better term for this, because it does sound odd and strange and out there. Yeah, I'll tell you from my perspective as a Christian who believe that God created the earth, and I'm speaking for myself here, that, yes, I believe that within the earth, he made it on purpose to where that it would be able to have what we've talked about here, whether it's going to the beach or going to the mountains. And if it's created by him, then it's something that can obviously be beneficial to us.
Absolutely. And we were designed to touch the earth. Mm-hmm. You know, our bodies were developed back in the hunter-gatherer days when we were walking on the earth. That helped our body discharge these forces. And you know, like I said, anybody that's ever like dug in the dirt in their garden and they just felt better after, or they've walked barefooted on the beach or on the ground and it just sort of felt good. This is why, and this is not accidental. This is real science behind why this is true. What you felt was the earth donating electrons to your body, neutralizing its positively charged and neutralizing these forces. Now, for those of you that have listened to me for a while on the show for quite some time, you know that I'm not some out there sort of hippie gypsy type guy. You know, this sounds like this is really out there in left field, but I promise you it's not. I like hardcore science backed up by the latest research using studies and technology. And although this can sound a little bit out there, I promise you it's not. This is science. This is actually what's happening. We are now electron deficient, and this is sort of the tip of the spear in research now with chronic disease. And being electron deficient, we're finding out, is one of really the precursors to inflammation and almost all chronic disease. And it's just as simple as touching the earth not to be electron deficient. It's pretty amazing. And, you know, only recently has the knowledge of this connection been explored. This is not something, you know, I guess to say this is kind of like something that's been going on forever, but it's only recently been kind of discovered in this light. And so we're going to get a lot more into this on the show today. We're going to go through some research. We'll talk a little bit more about these slight charges that throw off your cellular functions and how all this was discovered. Well, some pretty amazing stuff. And I tell you guys, the human body never ceases to amaze me. I'm absolutely just fascinated by the intricacies and the miracle of the human body. And I'm also fascinated about what causes it not to work and how we can make it work better. And so that's why my purpose is to help as many people as possible improve their health using the things in the way it was supposed to be used and the way our bodies were designed. You're listening to Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin here with Brandon Como. More fascinating topics after this break.
Answering your questions every Saturday morning. Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin.
Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. On today's show, we're discussing something called earthing. And if you think about it, humans have been in contact with the ground for thousands of years. Our bodies are designed that way. The ground, the earth, helps us neutralize our body's charges. And now that we've lost contact with the ground, our health, as it turns out through some research, is being affected. And this is all from a book by Dr. Steven Sinatra, Clinton Ober, and Martin Zucker. And these doctors and researchers have been looking at the benefits of grounding our bodies to the earth so that these charges of our bodies that create inflammation, this positive charge, discharges into the ground, just like you would an electrical circuit. You know, we are electrical beings. Our bodies use electricity in so many different ways. You know, just like your house uses electricity, our bodies, our cells use electricity. And if they have a slight positive charge, we are now learning that this creates inflammation. And like we were talking about in the first break, you know, remember molecules are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. The electrons spin around the outside. When a molecule loses or gains one of these electrons, it becomes charged. Now, free radicals, which everyone has generally heard of that pays attention to health, free radicals are positively charged particles in our body that damage our cells. Free radicals are created from almost like exhaust, if you think about it. You know, if you're driving your car, anytime you start your car, there's an exhaust created. Our cells create exhaust by just going through their normal daily processes. You know, cells are designed to do things. A skin cell protects, a nerve cell transmits, a muscle cell contracts, a brain cell, transmits or communicates. And so our cells are designed to do a normal cellular process. As they do that, they create waste products or exhaust. These are called free radicals. And they are charged particles that damage our DNA and cause us to age. Now, when you get to the very, very most absolute finite point of our bodies, it comes down to electron deficiency. And I'm not going to bore you with all the science. That would take me a whole other show, and I'd have to have charts and graphs to explain all the details. But you just got to go with me on this one, is that it comes down to our bodies develop inflammation because we are electron deficient. Now, as soon as we come in contact with the earth, it neutralizes that electron deficiency. The earth is a huge electron donator, and they flow right out of the earth and into our bodies and neutralize these charges. Now, according to these researchers and confirmed by study after study after study that I looked at, inflammation, sickness, and pain in your body are manifestations of positively charged electron deficient molecules, which basically means that we have these charges and that we have to dissipate them just like you would in a circuit board or an electronic device. Now, this is caused by a lack of us coming in contact with the ground, us not touching the earth any longer. And the earth is a huge electron donor, and you have to come in contact with it to neutralize this. Now, I was looking at one study by Clinton Ober, and he was asked by a friend if he would fix up a grounding system for an elderly gentleman who was bedridden. And I think the guy had, Brandon, I think it was rheumatoid arthritis. And so what happened, basically what this means is, what they did is they got a little pad for him to lay under, and I believe it had silver wire running throughout it. And then there was a wire that led off of that outside and just spiked into the ground, just like you would, ground anything else. Okay. And so now they're of course advanced beyond that. Now this was when he was first starting to research this. Now they have sheets or mattresses that were designed just, you can plug them into the outlet and it grounds you. So they have advanced this technology. I'll talk more about the grounding devices in a little bit. But Clint was asked by a friend if he would go ground this elderly gentleman who was bedridden with RA. And as he first developed this, he was looking for volunteers anyway. So I said, sure, I'll come see how it works on this guy. And so he went in. It took 3 people to lift the elderly gentleman out of bed. They put this pad under him with the wires in it, and he put it to the ground so that it would touch his skin. And he writes in his book that about 10 days later, he received a call from the gentleman. And the gentleman asked him if he would come over again and fix the wire because a squirrel had eaten through the wire. And so Clint asked him, well, how do you know that? Well, I went out and saw that it had been chewed through, the man said. So this Clint Ober was really puzzled. How could a bedridden patient be up and about in the yard in a matter of 10 days. So he went over and drove over there, and the man was standing up, leaning against the front door, waiting on him. And he said he was feeling better. And he was right. The wire had been chewed through, so they replaced it. And then after the elderly man had slept on this bed pad for about a year, he found out later that the man was much improved. He was doing his household chores. He was tending to his fireplace. You know, he still had it, but he was much less inflamed, and he was actually able to get his liveliness back. He was actually able to do things without, you know, being completely bedridden. And, you know, guys, I read story after story like this of people grounding themselves to the earth by a simple bedpan or grounding sheets, and just remarkable results from simply sleeping grounded to the earth's surface. And the reason that happens is because all of these negatively charged forces are able to ground and neutralize throughout the night. So the earth is negatively charged. It's a virtual infinite supply of free electrons. And anytime you have two conductive objects that touch, they're going to equalize and no longer be charged. Pretty neat stuff. So basically, it's just donating electrons to the body. Now, as a side note, before we move on, one of the reasons that I found this so interesting about donating electrons to the body to make it healthier is this is actually very similar to what we do in our Beyond Functional Medicine program in our office. We have some advanced technologies that where it's designed to literally add electrons or to add energy back into the system. And you guys had heard me talk a lot about this energy deficit in the body. I've had several shows on this now to where the body can't heal because we're literally burning up more energy every day than we're able to make. I talk about this all the time. So this is science as well. You know, our bodies make an energy packet called adenine triphosphate, or ATP. You can think of this like a gallon of gas for your car. So this energy packet called ATP, our body can't make this as effectively as it used to, and we are burning up more than we ever have before. So it's like we're burning up our gas faster than we can put it in our car. Our body is burning up more ATP molecules faster than it can make because our bodies are dealing with more than ever before, and we've also lost our ability to make it as fast as we used to. So I have videos on YouTube about this where we talk about this energy deficit, and this electron donation stuff fits right into it. So this is our functional medicine program is designed to add electrons into an electron deficient body, just like the earth does. So I found it quite an interesting a match to what we're doing in the office with our functional medicine program. You have to add more gas into the engine than it makes. It's just really amazing what the body can do if it just has a chance. But sometimes patients are just stuck. You know, the body is just stuck into sickness, and it can't get out with a little bit of help. So many times, if we can just give the body a little push forward, the way it was designed, if we can just give it just a little bit of help going towards healing, all of a sudden the body picks up and takes off, and whatever it is the person's suffering with heals. But what we find so many times, the body can't heal because it just needs a little bit of help. It's just a little stuck in where it's at, and some of these little things just help enough that the body can take off and heal. And I want you guys to think about this, and I talk about this all the time on my shows and my videos. We're not saying that one of these things by itself can fix you. But if I do 5 things and each one of them just pushes your body a little bit towards healing, then we're all the way there. So if I do 5 things in our program and each one of them helps you 20%, we're all the way there. If I do 5 things and 4 of them help you 20% and one of them doesn't do anything to help you at all, well, we're 80% better than where we started. And so a lot of times whenever you work with the body, it's not like traditional healthcare is thought about where you have one diagnosis and one treatment, you know, one diagnosis, one medication. That's not the way natural healthcare works. That's not the way functional medicine works. It said if I do 5 things, we hope to get a little bit of result out of each one, and at the end result is the body's healed. But these studies absolutely blew me away on this grounding and this earthing. Now, right after break, I'm going to talk to you about some results that patients have gotten by simply discharging these electrical forces out of their body and neutralizing by simply being connected to the ground. It's just remarkable research. We're going to cover that right after the break. You're listening to Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin.
More information from Dr. Kevin at BryantWellnessInstitutes.com.
Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you for joining me today. And we're discussing some amazing research today that says that one of the reasons why we are so inflamed and sick all the time is because our bodies go through its normal cellular processes. We tend to end up with a body that has a slight positive charge. And the slight positive charges create inflammation. And then back in the day, every time we would touch the earth, these positive charges would be neutralized. But today, since we don't touch the ground anymore, these positive charges build up in our body and create systemic inflammation and also create us to be sick and diseased. And I looked at some thermography studies, and where they do infrared imaging and analyze the skin surface for temperatures. And if you were to see, Brandon, the thermography different in pictures before and after you ground someone, I was stunned. I mean, it was really remarkable. They did some studies on an inflammatory marker called a C-reactive protein. Now, C-reactive protein is a marker that we check on blood work. And it's an indicator to determine inflammation in the body. We check every patient that comes in our office for C-reactive protein. And the values of these substances, C-reactive protein, was considerably lower in grounded subjects, suggesting much less risk of these metabolic type syndromes like heart disease, cancer, strokes, and these sort of things. Whenever you start seeing C-reactive protein go down, that is real hardcore science. There is no debating that someone is less inflamed. And whenever you look at their C-reactive protein before and after, this is science. This is actually happening. This isn't just some metaphysical idea. This is really the way your body works. Now, the value of these C-reactive proteins were considerably lower in subjects that had been grounded. And that's something that just really blew me away. Now, we're now learning that the Earth's electrical energy maintains the order of our body's own electrical frequencies. And when you think about it, our bodies are a collection of electrical circuits. And so we have trillions of cells constantly transmitting and receiving energy in the course of our biochemical body, of biochemical functions. The movement of nutrients in the cell is regulated by electrical fields. The movement of water in our cells is regulated by our electrical fields. Our heart, our brain, our nervous system, our muscles, even our immune system are prime examples of electrical subsystems in our body. And if we back us up to kind of that hunter-gatherer days, we were constantly connected to the earth. We slept on the ground. We walked barefooted. We were out in the sun. We were constantly connected to this source of grounding from the earth. And this would continually discharge these electrical fields in our body. That's the way our bodies were designed to work and be healthy. Now we wear rubber-soled shoes. We sleep 4 feet off the ground. We stay out of the sun. We don't touch the earth. We're disconnected. We've disconnected ourselves from the earth. And think of it like a light bulb that has a loose connection. It's disconnected itself from the electricity. The bulb flickers or shines weakly or doesn't light up at all. And, people go through life like this all the time, just not getting the energy or the electrical fields that their body needs. And we're actually talking about here the movement of electrons. And no one has ever seen an electron, but think of them in the setting of a beehive like I discussed earlier. The bees buzzing around the hive are like electrons moving around the nucleus of your molecules. And these electrons have a negative charge, and the earth has an unlimited supply of them. Now, because our body goes through our cellular processes, we lose them and we're electron deficient. So when we touch the earth, it neutralizes these positive charges in our body. Very, very cool stuff. Now, chronic inflammation, multiple diseases, and conditions that happen in the body are now being traced back to being what we call electron deficient. And if you've ever sort of walked outside barefooted or walked on the beach or in the grass barefooted, or you went and dug your hands in the garden or dug your hands in the dirt and it just felt good, like you just felt better after, this could be the reason why. Grounding is the reason. And since I've been studying this over the last few weeks, I've been absolutely fascinated by it. You know, I'm probably the worst, Brandon. I don't go anywhere without my Crocs on. Like, I wear my Crocs all the time in the house.
I got Crocs on right now. I love them, man.
You know, I never really liked getting grass on my feet. I don't walk barefooted ever. I'm not a fan of gardening or digging in the dirt. I just don't, unless I'm deer hunting, I don't have much of a connection with the ground ever. And so I'm probably the world's worst. But you know what? I'm going to start, because our bodies function best when our charges are neutralized by being connected to the earth. It might be something just as simple as whenever I go to let the dog out at night before bed, I'll just take my Crocs off and just stand on the ground for a second. So it's just real simple to do. Now, the very first study that was ever done on this grounding, listen to this. They found that 85% of the participants went to sleep more quickly. 93% reported sleeping better throughout the night. 82% experienced significant reduction in muscle stiffness. 74% experienced elimination or reduction of pain. 100% reported feeling more rested when they woke up. And 78% reported improved general health. Now, what they did in this study, this isn't a placebo effect. Because what they did in this study is they took this metallic pad, I'm assuming it was like a blanket with some probably silver or metal fibers in it, with a wire leading outside with a rod stuck in the ground. Now, here's what they did, though. You think, well, they just felt they were, or their brain just told them they were feeling better. But what they did was some of them, half of them were grounded and half of them were not grounded, and it was fake. Like, it looked like it was in the ground, but maybe there was a little insulator in between, so they weren't actually grounded. So this is real hardcore studies. So the participants were literally grounded to the earth and while they slept, and they got significantly better. Now, when we get back, I'm going to tell you how to take advantage of this new information and where you can order some of these devices at and what to look for, and possibly could even make you feel better and improve your health. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Like Dr. Kevin on Facebook by searching Bryant Wellness Institute's Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I've been absolutely fascinated over the last few weeks by studying this earthing or grounding phenomenon. And the best way I can sum this up for you today is that we are electron deficient, and that's making us sick. Our bodies go through its normal daily processes and build up a charge, a slightly positive charge in our cells going through their normal processes. And it's this slight positive charge that's creating inflammation at a molecular, cellular level in our body. Back in the day, the ground would neutralize this positive charge in our bodies, and now we've disconnected ourselves from our ground wire, and this has led to disease and sickness. And if we can reconnect you to the ground, your health may improve. Now, there are several ways that people are doing this in their homes. Now they actually have sheets and mattresses that you can plug into the ground wire in your outlet. And since your house is grounded, especially in newer houses, you can use the ground from the outlet that goes into your mattress and literally grounds you all night where you're sleeping and neutralizing you. And no, there's no way you can be electrocuted. It's only a ground.
That was my first thought.
Everybody,
I was asking myself that too.
Every time I say that, patients go, can I be electrocuted?
Yeah.
No, you can't. It's very safe. And so all it uses is just the ground wire. And so, of course, there's safety measures, and there's breakers and all that. Now,
would it be best to talk to an electrician first before doing this, or do you think that's not even necessary?
So as long as your house is actually grounded, some older houses aren't grounded.
Right.
And so then it won't work.
Yeah.
It won't hurt you any. It just won't work.
Gotcha.
You just won't get it. It has to. You have to do. It has to be grounded. Now, there's a chapter in this book, in Dr. Sinatra's book, to where you can actually take an electrician's little voltmeter, and you can test to see whether you're grounded or not.
Okay.
And you can actually, it even talks about, I didn't write this down for today, but it talks about how you can hold the leads in your hand, and it can show you how actually charged your body is somehow.
Okay.
So there's a book called Earthing that I'm reading right now that talks all about this. So what they actually do is they have little silver threads running throughout these sheets that touch your body at night, and then there's a wire coming off that plugs into the ground wire of your outlet, and the ground wire goes through your house outside and plugs into the ground. So electrically, you are connected to the ground outside through the sheets. And the research and studies that I'm reading about this it's just absolutely amazing when you see the stories of how much better people feel from this. And they have a pad you can put in your feet, like you're sitting at the desk there, Brandon. They have a pad where you can slip your shoes off and touch your feet there while you're typing during the day or while you're at work, and it runs and plugs into the wall. How about you just walk around on the ground barefooted every chance you get? That's the same thing. It's exactly the same. Now, they took one group of people and they had them walk barefooted every day on the ground for a while. Almost 100% of them reported feeling better almost right away. I read another study published in 2004 in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. And listen to this, the conclusion of the study. They found that grounding during sleep resynchronizes cortisol secretions, more in alignment with natural rhythms. All but 2 of the subjects developed a more natural cortisol rhythm, and that's what makes you sleep all night and wake up refreshed. One of them, already normal, had a pattern. So 11 out of 12 said they went to sleep faster. All 12 reported more waking fewer times during the night. 9 out of the 12 said they felt more refreshed and less fatigued. Out of the 11 subjects who said before grounding they had pain, 7 of them reported an improvement in their pain. Only 4 said there was no change. 9 out of 12 described reductions in their emotional stress and were less bothered by problems such as anxiety, depression, and irritability. 2 said there was no change. 1 said the stress was worse. 6 out of the 7 participants with GI problems reported improvements. 6 out of 7. 5 out of 6 women with PMS and hormonal problems said their symptoms were better. So let me talk for a second about inflammation. The earth itself is the original anti-inflammatory because the earth itself is the biggest electron donor on the planet. We take vitamins because they are antioxidants. Antioxidants are negatively charged and they soak up free radicals out of our body. Free radicals are positively charged particles in our body that harm us. They damage us, they damage our DNA, and they damage our cells. So that positive charge breaks our DNA, and these charged free radicals in our body are damaging us. And so we take antioxidants, like you hear fruits and vegetables and vitamins, in order to neutralize these. But the ground does exactly the same thing. Dr. Sinatra's book goes on to show that at a cellular level, how these charges affect each cell and each tissue in the body. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. It would take me a half a day to show you how all that works. But if you want to get his book called Earthing, Dr. Sinatra's pretty remarkable stuff. And if you guys want to know more about this and where to get any of these products, the website is earthinginstitute.net, earthinginstitute.net, or earthing.com for products. And listen, guys, these people don't even know who I am. I'm not associated with this book. I don't make anything off of telling you this. I don't own stock in any company that's associated with these people. It's just one more thing to try to help you guys. So that's the show. I hope that I brought you guys something different today and something to think about and something to research and look up for yourself. The technique is called earthing. And according to what I've read, every study that I look at absolutely just blows me away on this. This might be something that changes your life. So I have a few of my chronic pain patients that we're looking at ways to get them grounded at night while they sleep right now. We're looking at which would work better for them, the sheets or the mattress pad or the pad for where they're working. And I think it's something that could, again, be one of those things that just helps us move the body one more step closer to healing. And if I do 5 different things and each one of them helps 10, 15, 20%, at the end of the time, we're all the way there and the body has healed and the person has resolved whatever health condition they suffer with. Thank you guys for listening. I'll be back next week. Have a great day. This is Dr. Kevin with the Bright Wellness Institutes. If you're interested in more of this information, you can join me on Facebook at the Bright Wellness Institutes. Have a good day.
Contact Bryant Wellness Institutes at 837-7174.